Emmy Award winner Tony Hale has played some, well, extremely memorable characters. One way to describe them. After all, who could forget a Buster Bluth? And that look. Wow.
That's unfortunate.
A socially awkward mama's boy on the hit show Arrested Development. Now he stars as Gary Walsh, longtime loyal body man to Selena Meyer, played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Actually, in this clip from the season 5 finale, Gary learns that Selena is out of a job.
Gary.
Oh, shut up! You screwed her the worst. In all the ways. Oh, I know you make fun of me, and I know that you think that I'm funny and I'm funny, ha ha ha. Well, at least I cared. I did my job. I cared.
Well, that just kind of made this whole year worth it.
Oh, I forgot.
Gary doesn't cuss on this show.
No, he doesn't.
He cussed that time.
The bleep was strong there.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tony Hale joins us. All right, so out of a job, are Gary services required now? Is there still a
Don't say that.
Is there still a body for a man to worry about?
Well, I mean, Gary will do anything to carry Selena's purse. So anything to get back in the bosom of his lady is just like, he will do whatever. So, I mean, what was great about that scene is that was many years in the coming. Because I've been working with her, Gary's been with her since before she was vice president. And he doesn't have a life, doesn't have an identity outside of her. And so when he saw these just morons destroy her chance, he just lost it. And he doesn't really talk up like that much.
And rose to the moment.
Thank you.
In a way that Anna Klumsky's character did. I mean, it's like the red badge of courage.
Yeah.
It's the red badge of profanity, it would seem.
Totally.
In this.
And he also doesn't understand why the country isn't just handing her the presidency. Yeah. I mean, she's the obvious choice.
Fair to say he's perhaps a bit biased, however?
A little bit. I mean, she's Jesus to him. But I mean, she's the worst. I mean, in reality, she's the worst person. You know, I mean, Selena Meyer should never even be near the White House, but in Gary's eyes, like, she's queen.
And he is, however oft beaten down, just a part.
That's a kind way of saying it. It's a domestic abuse situation.
We try. We're a glass half full show.
Sorry.
You're reminded, even in that clip too, of the relentlessness of the ensemble, which really in this show plays like a character unto itself. There is a breathless, impactful, but really crowded quality to it. Is it, like, creatively, what does it do for you?
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome because we all have such respect for each other. And on our show, which is very rare, they give us about 2 weeks of rehearsal time before we shoot. So they give us like 5 scripts, and we can play and kind of see what works and what gels and what doesn't gel. And so we have the script, and then when we get on set, Julia and I can sometimes be like, all right, what physicality can we do? You can drop your purse, and then I can catch it there. I can mess up your coat. So it's just this whole kind of team effort of just like making it as funny as it can be. And those guys to work with that cast is just a dream.
HBO, I mean, they give us the gift of the deleted scenes at the end.
Yes.
And you see I guess we see the lines that we've tried here. Is there going to be, whenever the show leaves, and I hope that's not anytime soon, is there a mother of all blooper reels?
There is. There is, and they actually, after each year, they've given us, they don't put them anywhere, or they don't put them on DVDs or anything, but honestly, that's what I watch the most, because whether it was Arrested Development or Veep, I don't really watch the shows over and again. Somewhat narcissistic actor, look at me. But I do watch the blooper reels over and over, because that's what I remember. I remember messing up, and actually, I'm the guy that probably breaks the most. I can't keep it together. And Julia once turned to me, and she said, Tony, you know you're not watching the show, you're in the show.
Because, I mean, it looks like, I'm reminded of like the Carol Burnett ensemble.
Oh my God, one of my favorite
and watching
shows.
Harvey Korman and Tim Conway just take each other down.
And that's what I like to watch. I loved those moments when they broke, so I would love for them to release all those blooper reels that they've given us, because they're a blast to watch.
I mean, it's great stuff. It seems as though, and as we mentioned, the 2 characters you've played, these 2 bookend characters, but also, and I'm sure I'm not the first person to say it, but there is a quality that perhaps Buster Bluth was finally kicked out of the home, changed his name, went to D.C., and got a job, which is to say, very appreciatively, you do anxiety well.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I do emasculation, anxiety, and meekness very well.
You've got it cornered.
That's my market. No, I think Gary, it is interesting because you look at Buster, and he was, oh, bless his heart, he was just a 7-year-old trapped in, at the time, a 32-year-old body. And he could barely get to the pharmacy. Like, it was just, he was just surrounded by fear. Whereas Gary definitely steps up for Selena. Like, if something's wrong with Selena, he'll fight for her. Whereas I don't know if Buster would have fought for
I mean,
his
there's
mom,
one person on the
Lucille.
show, including the Secret Service, who would take a bullet, and it is Buster.
Oh, Gary.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Gary.
Gary, yes, yeah. No, it's easy to get him confused.
Exactly.
But Gary definitely, I think Gary could probably counsel Buster. I think Gary could probably be a good friend to Buster, because Buster lives in a state of paralysis all the time. But there's definitely a through line of dysfunction and
I read a great
other
interview
issues.
that you did with Terry Gross at NPR, and that there's a personal aspect to the anxiety.
Sure,
that this has been really part and parcel, certainly with your professional life.
Yeah, and personal life. I mean, I've had a history of dealing with anxiety since I was a kid, and you know, you learn. The thing about anxiety is it's nice to be post-therapy and learn a lot of things. But the thing with anxiety is it's not always like, wow, you're screaming. A lot of it is sitting in the tension of life and just being like, what the hell is going on? So with these characters, Gary and Buster, many times they're kind of in the background, just kind of sitting in that tension. So it's, even though it was maybe hard to walk through as a kid, it's nice to be using it for a professional career.
I'm also struck by a public figure with a very essential relationship with your faith. And I know whether it's prayerful meditation, but just with your faith.
Yeah.
What has it meant to you, and how does it play in your life now that perhaps there's reason to believe that things are okay?
Yeah. Well, I happen to choose probably one of the most uncertain careers you could choose for a professional career. But I think knowing always that God is with me. I mean, and it's look at, you guys see it every day, the chaos of life and the uncertainty and stuff. Knowing that you can surrender it up to a higher power is incredibly peaceful, and just sitting in that stillness many times when everything is chaotic, and just knowing that He's got my back is incredibly assuring for me.
Then this question perhaps is for you professionally and personally, as we are in this election season.
Yeah.
And you see the topic of religion made mostly as it's a line in the sand or a point of contention. What do you make of it?
It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating because, I mean, many times people of faith have the mic that I would rather not have the mic, and use it as a weapon. I think the only thing we're called to, or I'm called to, is to love others and love God, and that's the basis of my faith. I think that's what Christ taught us. And I think it's and you look at everything else, and it always becomes about topics and issues. And I have to think that God's up there being like, just get rid of all that crap. You know, let's get back to the basics of love others and love God and love others. That's it.
And it's interesting too, because as we see it become something that's really politicized, I'm always struck by the creative choice to not have Selena, or really anybody in the show, have a party affiliation.
Totally.
It really informs a lot by not existing.
Yeah.
What did you make of that choice when you first saw it?
Yeah, I love it because I think when we first started, I remember Sarah Palin, that whole stuff was going on. People would compare her a lot to, are you doing like a interpretation of Sarah, whatever. And the HBO and the show really came from the perspective as like, there's nobody we're modeling here. There's no party we're modeling. And also, if you look at it, a lot of it's just about office politics. Yeah. About kind of how do these people in the office spend to get ahead, the backstabbing, the fear of losing your job, the fear of, never getting it. And, wanting to be, and then it actually goes back to high school, like getting as close to the popular person as you can be just so that you feel empowered.
And the brutality of the playground.
Yeah, the brutality of the playground. So it all kind of goes back to that. So it's not necessarily the party affiliation. It's really just about the office dance and the craziness that happens there. And actually, a lot of people in DC actually I've heard like the show, because they see what goes on behind the scenes. Yeah. They see kind of the chaos and the insecurity, and because this is like, these people are making crazy, anxious decisions. They're they're just some pressure cookers. And so they see Veep sometimes and hope to God it's not that extreme, but I bet they see that and go, Yeah, I recognize that.
Yeah.
I see that behind the scenes that we don't see in the media.
And while you don't necessarily have a torn from the headlines quality that
Yeah, sure.
is a narrative spine for the program,
Yeah.
I do wonder how has it been informed by at least being in an election cycle? Obviously, you've been here before, but
Yeah, sure.
this election cycle, perhaps in particular, how has it been being a comedy that oftentimes is up against a pretty fantastical thing most nights?
A comedy that's up against its own satire happening
Yes.
on television. Yeah, many times you do. I mean, the thing about I watch the news sometimes, and here's the deal. Like, I don't want to be like that, because we're all a work in progress. But sometimes you see the news, and I'm like, wow, if the writers on Veep wrote that, HBO would be like, nah, it's too broad.
Yeah, come on.
Come on, no one's going to believe that. And it's a little jarring sometimes. You're just like, am I watching a sitcom? Because sometimes when you're watching the news, I'm expecting someone to go, okay, cut, let's take it back to one. This is like, let's do that scene again. And you're like, oh no, this is actually happening. This character is actually real.
Oh, wow. Well, look, if nothing else, I do hope that she at least gets picked up on a swing shift at Sears so that there's something for you.
Oh, please, I'll be
to
carrying a
carry.
purse if she's working at Dunkin' Donuts. I'll be right by her side.
Tony Hale,
Nice
thanks so much.
meeting you.
Really appreciate it.
Oh,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much.